Welcome to the Von Karpman Show. This is part 2 of my AK series. I might have more parts later, but for now, we're just going to have 2 parts. So let me clarify some things in the last episode about the Kalishikov rifles that I did not mention. So we're going to need to get some clarification. See this right here? This thing right here? This is called a pistol grip. Now, normally, in California, or Massachusetts, or New York, any states, they don't like this. You gotta have a thumb stock like this. So, my Bulgarian, so I consulted an AK expert who used to build these. And he's one of the most popular AK builders back in the day. This is like way before, like this was during the 80s, okay? And he got out of the business, but I consulted him. I said, hey, you know, my Bulgarian, it says imported by Arsenal Las Vegas, but it said model SLR 101. I go, I thought they were SAM 7. He goes, oh yeah, they're not SAM 7 because in 1994, when Clinton was in office, now Clinton had nothing to do with the assault weapons ban. That started during, before Clinton. George Bush Sr. started that. So George Bush put in the assault weapons ban, meaning like, hey, we're not allowed to have assault weapons. So I don't know what an assault weapon is, but here's how the United States Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosive, which is BAFIT, they said this makes an assault weapon. Pistol grip. Flash hider. You're allowed to have a muzzle brake, but you can't hide the flash, right? Pistol grip, flash hider, any type of folding stock is not allowed, right? So my AK, that the reason it's an SLR 101 and not a 7.7, my Bulgarian, is because it was a sporting rifle. It actually was made during the ban eras, the assault weapons ban era, right? So which was 1994 to 2004 or 2003, something like that. So what happened in 2003 is that they didn't renew that ban, so that ban was no longer in effect. And then we were allowed to have all these assault weapon features, okay? Again, they're all the same gun, but obviously, to certain people, if the gun has wood furniture, then it's safe. But if it has black furniture, like this, plastic and a pistol grip, then it's dangerous, okay? So, that's the assault weapons ban. So, my SLR had no features on it during that time. It had a thumb hole stock, and it was a sporting rifle. It did not have a bayonet lug. Oh, that's another thing in the assault weapons ban era you couldn't have, was a bayonet lug. So it did not have a bayonet lug. It did not have a pistol grip. It did not have a pistol grip. And some other features too. Oh yeah, flash hider. So it's, some other features I'm probably forgetting. But after the ban era, what Arsenal of Las Vegas did was the importer for Arsenal, the real Arsenal factory in Bulgaria, the military, Arsenal military factory of Bulgaria. What they did was they put on the pistol grip and the pistol grip back, right? And that way it was perfectly fine. So it is made in Bulgaria, but it was made during the ban era. These days, all receivers, right? All receivers, whether it be pistols or handgun, well, handgun is pistols or rifles or shotguns, they cannot be made. Well, I think shotguns could be made in foreign countries, but not pistols or a rifle, right? They got to be made in the USA. And so the parts are allowed to be made overseas, but the receiver is actually the gun. So on rifles, on ARs, the lower is the gun, all right? On FALs, the upper is the gun. That's the part with the serial number, right? AK is the same thing with AK. The upper is the gun, because that's where all the badging is, the serial number and all that, right? So that's why my Lancaster Arms, the receiver, is made in the USA, because that was made during the assault weapons ban era, or after. No, I'm sorry. It was made after the assault weapons ban era. But even after, you had to have the gun made in the USA, and the receiver is the gun. And then the gun also has to have 7 American parts. So normally, the trigger is one of the parts, the USA parts. The furniture is other USA parts, you know. So they have American companies that make the furniture exactly like they do in Russia or Romania or Bulgaria or China, except for the only difference is we're going to pay, instead of paying like $20 for them, we're going to pay like $120. You know, and that was back then, so now it's even more, right? So that's the clarify things. The assault weapons ban era from 1994 to 2004, you know, you could not have these features, like pistol grip. So that's all done with, except for certain states in California, Massachusetts, they still have their own assault weapons lists, right? And the list was pretty dumb, because they list the rifles that they ban, right? Like Arsenal, SAM-7. Well, you know, all these companies have to do is change the name of the rifle. Now it's not on the list, right? Right? So, you know, government is not just home defense tools. They do it with this, right? They do it with everything, you know. As Plato once says, a good just man does not need laws. Laws are made for criminals, right? Laws are made so criminals, because the criminal knows how to get around laws, right? So who is Plato talking about when he's talking about criminals? He's actually talking about the government, right? Again, home defense in America is a right. It's the Second Amendment, right? The right to bear arms shall not be infringed, okay? Right? Speaking is a right. Having meetings, talking bad about the government is a right, right? Again, that's what it says in the Constitution, but as you know, we are all good sheep. I'm a good sheep, but I will do whatever the government tells me, okay? Now, this is a short barrel rifle, right? It's legal because I paid a $200 tax stamp to have the right to cut off my barrel. And the way I did that is I got a local company. They registered the lower for me. They had to hold the lower, right? They had to hold the lower until, well, actually, what he did was he engraved the lower and he held the lower until the paperwork was approved by the Bureau of Tobacco, Arms, and Firearms, right? Or BA, Bureau Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, right? So he had to hold that until I got the paperwork in. So I paid a $200 tax just to have the right. That's the beauty of America, right? Everything's legal as long as you pay the taxes, right? So you could call it class warfare, but then let's be honest, right? Does the government want every monkey to have a short barrel rifle, right? They don't. They don't. You know, they don't want every, you know. So don't take it personal when people with money get away with stuff, because that's just how America operates, right? I mean, like, hey, if you don't like America, you could leave. I mean, I love this country. It gave me so much. So yeah, so that is the summary of, I know there's no AKs in this video because my AKs are all the way back in my my home defense. I mean in their home, you know, they're in all the way back, you know, so I didn't want to pull all the other kids out to get to my AK home defense tools. So that is the assault weapons ban in a nutshell, right? So basically, now in this country, the gun must be made in America, but the parts can be made overseas. Now, at all times, your gun should have 7 American parts, okay? Now, I don't know what the rule on that is, but I do know to sell a gun, like a company like SIG or FN or Colt, to sell a gun, they have to have at least 7 American parts on the gun. I don't like that word gun. I use the word home defense tools because to me gun is a sexist word. It's racist. It's very racist, right? So home defense tools or kids is what I call these things, right? Or these beautiful things, I should say. Or these hoes, you know, as one of my episodes, ho just means quality in Hakka Chinese, you know. So yeah, that is the assault weapons ban in a nutshell, and why, you know, in America, every rifle with a buttstock like this, right? Buttstock, so you can hold it like that, right? The barrel must be 16 inch from the bolt face to the end of the barrel. Now this one is only 9 inches, right? But that's because I paid a $200 tax stamp the right to have it 9 inches, okay? So it must be 16 inches or longer, okay? And shotguns, I think, is 18 inches. I think. I'm not sure. I do have a shotgun that's 14 inches, the barrel, because I paid that tax stamp, right? So the government already knows I have home defense tools. And it's good I make these videos to document my home defense tools, right? So they can't say, oh, I stole it or something, right? So you know, and it's a serious offense. Serious. I mean, it's one of the worst offenses in the United States if you steal these things from people, right? I'm just saying, right? That's why I'm not really scared of people stealing these home defense tools, because if they do, it's their ass. But also, I secure everything. I have cameras everywhere. I live in a guard-gated community. I have pro-Second Amendment neighbors that look after my house, right? And I store them in a big lockbox, okay? Big lockbox that's bolted to the ground too, right? So I'm not really scared of people knowing that I have these home defense tools, right? And the government already knows I have them because I have 8 tax stamps, because for a silencer, you also need a tax stamp. So that's another thing. I have 8 tax stamps that's approved by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives, right? So, yep, apartment out. That is part 2 of the AK, even though there's no AK in this video, but you get the idea. By the way, this is a Robinson Arms home defense tool. Pretty cool little tool. You know, you can look it up on the web. It's called, the model is XCR. X as in X-ray. CR. X-ray Charlie Romeo. Right? And this one, right now, I have you can, right here, this 10 millimeter Allen bolt right here, just unscrew it and you can swap the barrel along with the bolt face. You swap the whole thing, the barrel, the bolt face, and next thing you know, well, not the bolt, because 300 Blackout uses the same bolt as a 5.56 NATO, right? So you just swap out the barrel, and now I have a 223, right? And the way I know this is 223 is you can look at the hole. You can see how big the hole is, right? So that's how I know, right? You got to be careful when you're playing with 223 and 300 Blackout. One is .223, the other is .308, okay? So, all right, carbon out. Glad you guys let me clear that up.